I'm Senator James Lankford from Oklahoma, and I've had a lot of people ask me about, what do you think about Kamala Harris going to the border? Well, I think she should have been to the border a lot more than she has been. She's been there twice now in the 4 years as vice president. Twice, once in 2021 and now right during the middle of the campaign season. There are a lot of questions that she should be asked, quite frankly, that she has not answered. She said over and over again that she would sign the border bill that I was a part of. That quite frankly, she was not a part of, even though that she said publicly that she and Joe reached out to conservative Republicans to work on this bill. She never actually reached out. She was never a part of the negotiations, nor were any of her staff ever a part of those negotiations around the bill. She should be asked a lot about what wasn't included in the bill, though, because Democrats would not allow the really strongest parts of it to even be included at all. But I do go back to some very simple things that I think Kamala Harris should be asked about while she's at the border. Let's start with, why are the numbers down now? The numbers are only slightly down. They're down about 3,500 people a day that are illegally crossing. Those are still epically high numbers. Under the Trump administration or under the Obama administration, we were 1,000 people or less most days. Now they're 3,500. It's only down based on the Biden administration numbers. We're still talking about 2 million people illegally crossing the border this year, and the media considers that number down. But the simple question should be, what changed now, close to the election, that you didn't do before? What regrets do you have that you didn't enforce the border for the first 3.5 years, that you only started enforcing any border policies at all in the months and weeks leading up to the election? Why did you not do the border wall? And you actually ended construction of the border wall on day one. What are the policy changes that you implemented in the first days of your presidency and vice presidency for Biden-Harris that led to this dramatic shift of what's happening at the border, literally that we've never seen? We have about 10 million people that have illegally crossed the border. Only 400,000 of those have been removed under this administration. What is your plan for removing the other individuals that are here? Of the 10 million that have illegally crossed, only 400,000 removed. What's your plan for the rest? I would also ask, what's your plan to stop the special interest aliens coming across the border? Because it's not just people coming from the Western Hemisphere crossing the border. We now have literally tens of thousands of people, including today, we have individuals crossing that are special interest aliens, that we know nothing about their background. They're listed by this administration, by their own administration, as a terrorist risk coming into our country. And we're not doing the vetting, we're not doing the background. Those folks are being released just like everyone else. She should be asked, what are you doing to stop the release of special interest aliens into our country that we're not tracking, not vetting, and treating as if they're someone that's a migrant worker trying to be able to come into the United States when we know that they are not? What are you doing to be able to track down the 100,000 children that this administration has lost? These are unaccompanied minors that have crossed the border, that they came in the United States, and now 100,000 of them this administration has lost track of, that we don't know where they are. We don't know where their sponsors are. We don't know where they are. What are you doing about those? I would hope that the media would be honest in this, and I would hope that people would address her and not just allow her to do a PR move at the border and to be able to say she went to the border, so she's serious about the border. You can't get serious about the border in the days leading up to an election. All Americans remember the previous 3.5 years, and we know the chaos that has been at the border. We as Americans want this to stop. So I would hope that someone would ask her the point-blank questions. Do you regret the policies that you implemented, that you oversaw for the previous 3.5 years that have led to the chaos at our border?